Hello everyone, welcome to the first compiler. My name is Bright Etonansulu and I'm a Google developer expert for Flutter and Dart. Today I'll be taking you through building e-commerce applications with Flutter and Genkit. So as I said, my name is Bright. I'm a software engineer and my main stack is Dart. I also write TypeScript, Go, Swift, and Kotlin. You can reach out to me any of my socials and later. Now, this is what we'll be looking at today. We'll be looking at what is Genkit. We'll be looking at how is Genkit different from Gemini, because some people tend to confuse these two together. We'll then look at how to get started with Genkit, and then we'll proceed to look at how to build a simple e-commerce application using Genkit. So, what is Genkit? Genkit is a framework designed to help you build AI-powered applications. It provides open source library for Node.js and Go, plus developer tools for testing and debugging. So basically, Jenkins is a framework that you can basically use to create your AI-powered application. So imagine instead of having to do direct integrations into your mobile applications or your applications in general, you rather do those integrations in Jenkins and then you connect your front end code, your mobile application, your web application now to Jenkins. So in that case, Jenkins is a framework that is serving between your mobile and the AI model that you are basically using. Now, how is Jenkins different from Gemini? Gemini is a large language model designed for generated text, translating languages, writing different kind of creative content, and answering questions in an informative way. It's a powerful tool for a wide range of natural language tasks. Now, Genkit is a framework. So Gemini is an LLM, and Genkit is the framework. So Genkit simplifies the process of building and deploying application that uses generative AI like Gemini. It provides tools to manage model interaction. So in this case, Gemini is the model, Genkit is the framework. So you basically integrate Gemini into Genkit, and then you can interact with Gemini through Genkit. What are some key differences? So the purpose. Gemini is a large language model for generating text, whilst Genkit is a framework for building AI applications. Functionality, Gemini focuses on natural language tasks, whilst Genkit provides tools for managing AI models, interaction, and building of applications. So basically, Gemini is for, it's handling conflicting types, asking questions, whilst Jenkit provides tools. So I can also say Jenkit is mostly for like developers, whilst Gemini is multi-purpose, is for anyone. Usage, you can use Gemini for tasks like generated text, but you need Jenkit to build. So basically, that's what I'm explaining. So you basically build your AI application on Gemini using Jenkit. So Jenkit is basically a framework that we'll be looking at very soon. So how do you get started? Getting started with Jenkit is pretty straightforward, or not so straightforward, I would say. Currently, Jenkit supports two languages, TypeScript, JavaScript, and for JavaScript and TypeScript, it supports Node.js and also the Go language. So we'll be looking at Node.js, since that's it uses TypeScript, that looks so very close to uh, the data language, right? So in order for you to start with Jenkins using Node.js, first of all, you need Node.js installed as well. Then you need to install the Jenkins dependency global. Then two, you need to add your API key. So if you head over to aistudio.google.com, you get a free Gemini key. Then you add this key into your environment variable. And the reason why we are doing this is we don't want to expose our API key. Right? We don't want people to see our API key. And we don't want to deploy our application with our API key in our code. So, and also when you're testing, we don't want to expose this as well. So when you add it to your environment variable, the Jenkit framework is able to read that key and then use that key for its functionality. Then the last one is you create a new folder, and inside this folder, you then just type Jenkit in it, and it will ask you a bunch of questions, right? Like what language do you want to use? Yeah, and what model do you even want to use, right? And then it will go ahead and create a sample project for you. So when you want to run a sample project, all you need to type is Jenkit start, and then the process starts, right? The good thing about this is you can actually deploy this to any JS server that you already have. So if you have an application with render.com or railway or fly.io, you can easily deploy your Jenkit application there without any hassle. So now let us look at the e-commerce app that we will be building. You can scan this for the source code of the application. So I'll give some few minutes so that you scan this. All right, so let's continue. So this is basically what we are building. Very simple app. We are just listing products, and inside this product, we can review the product information. Can also input and decrease the number of items we want to put on cart, and then we can proceed. This is a simple concept in a larger application. So I've worked on a project where it's an e-commerce app, and we got tired of basically having to manually upload each of the items on the platform, and also someone has to basically use Excel to type in the product information and pricing and everything, right? So we decided to basically get our own model, and personal model, and train it with the current data that we already had, so that instead of us having to type all this information every single time, what the model does is it should take the image of what we are coding. So the item, take the image of the item, and based on that image, it will generate the description, the specifications, and also an approximate pricing for that particular item. Then the person in charge just goes there to edit maybe the pricing, or maybe correct some of the specifications, and or include or edit any of it. So yeah, so this is like a small sample in a larger project. All right, so let us get to the code. So to explain how Genkit works, I'll take some time to explain the folder structure, right? It's very simple. So let me get rid of this. Because when you generate a new one, you won't see this. So, yeah. So when you generate a new project using the steps that I said earlier, you see this sort of folder. So that's idea folder, which is for IntelliJ applications. Then there's node models, which is all our dependency. And we have the SRC, which is the source, and this contains the main file that we will be editing. We have the detail now. If you don't have this, you should probably add this. Make sure you do the node models so that you don't push node models to your GitHub. We have package.json, which contains more or less the configurations for our application, and also a list of dependencies that our application needs. Then we have, so basically this is the log file for the package.json. Then we have the readme that contains just a description of what is going on, what the project is about. You have your csconfig.json, which contains configuration for TypeScript. And let us head back to index.ts. So this is where you write your code. Now, because you're using Genkit AI, we need to do a bunch of imports. So first of all, we need to import the Genkit AI framework itself, which is a generate that takes care of generating the actual content. Then we also need to import the configure, so configure our Genkit and which model to use, which temperature to use, which output, which AI model to use, which debugging and all. So basically, just configurations that our application needs. Then moving down, basically import the main functions that are in charge of defining how our application should work. So we have the define flow and the start flow. So define flow is basically it's like a function that makes that helps Jenkit know that this is the AI function. And the start flow basically helps in starting the server so that you can have access to your AI functions. Then over here we import our AI model. So setting up, you basically decide which AI model you want, whether you want Google AI. So Google AI is Gemini. Then you have Vertex AI also. So Vertex AI is the paid version of Gemini. So with Gemini, anything that you do, right, your data is basically used to train the model. But in Vertex AI, your data is not used to train the model. So your data is basically for you. So Google doesn't touch your data to train their model. That's the difference. So the Vertex AI is paid, whilst Gemini is free. Now moving down, we have the AI model that you're actually using. So currently on 10, we're using Gemini 1.5 Flash. Right. So that is the version of Gemini you're using. You can actually change it to any of the other versions that you want. So these are the other versions that are available. Some of them are duplicated, some are still in use. So be careful the ones you select. You can you can choose between the one Gemini 1.5 Flash or 1.5 Flash 8B. Any of these two, I think they are still in effort to use. So yeah, you should need to use them for your application. Now we have the configure. So the configure basically is where we configure our applications. So in any case that we need to pass in our API key, we have to do it here. But remember, because we are only like it's environment variable, we don't have to do this anymore. We can just call this function here, and then Genkit will basically know to go and pick the key from our environment variable. Now, if you still want to state the key, right, you can basically do it like in here, to set it in here. You want to basically expose your key. And moving down the so basically you are just stating the level of React that you want to be seeing in your console. Right, so sitting in the back, you see a lot of logs telling you everything that is going on in your application. Then we have the enable tracing and metrics. So the tracing and metrics helps you basically trace and perform open telemetry operations and all that. Now, so basically that's it for the configure. So we've configured our Genkit. Now the next thing is to start defining our flow. Now I have a number of flows over here. Right? See if I can maybe that's okay. You to have to 3. Now I have 3 flows over here. So yeah, let me take you through that. Now this different flow is stating that, and this is the beginning of our function. This is our function. Now we have a function called product title. And in the function, you need to write the name, the input schema, and the output schema. Now, this is very great because when you state that the input schema is a string, you can't pass in a number. Because when you pass in a number, you're basically violating the type that it was set over there. And the same as if you state that the output is a string, there's no way the MLM will return you a boolean, because boolean is not a string. Or return you a number, because the number is not a string. So the input and the output define the data the LLM or Genkit will take and also will output. So if you tell Genkit to output a number, it will output a number. If based on your prompt, there's no way it can output a number. It's just to try and clear that. There's no way it can output a number based on. Now moving down, we have this sync function here. That takes parameter of type string. So it takes the same parameter as the input. So if the input is a number, it takes a number. So for instance, when I change this to a number, you can see the type here is now text number. So it takes the type of the input. So whatever input passes what it takes here. Now inside this sync function, we have this function that is actually responsible for the generation of the content that we need. So we have this generate that it takes prompts. Now this is a multimodal. Remember, Gemini 5 Flash is a multimodal model. So basically, I'm passing in a text and also a media. Right? And for the media, I'm passing in my input, which is the image that I'm getting. So, or the image of the product. So in this case, converting the image to base 64 before sending it to the model. There are some instances where you can send a URL to the Gemini and it will be able to understand it, especially if the URL is open, but sometimes it complains that it's not able to do that. So your best bet is to basically convert the image to base 64 and just give it to it so that it consumes. Then I have a prompt here. So Remember, the response of any LLM is as good as the prompt. So if you type in a very vague and prompt, you get a very vague and ambiguous response. That's how it works. So garbage in, garbage out. If you type in a very good prompt, you get a very good response. So personally, what I do is when I type in a prompt, I give it back to Gemini to refine that prompt, and then I use the refined prompt now in my code so that I get a very good response. Then moving forward, we have, so inside this generator, you are now stating the model that we want to use. And you also get some bunch of configurations here. So you can set the temperature, you can set the safety settings, and a whole lot. So, these are all the properties that you can actually set. So this is inside the config. You can set the safety settings, you can set the maximum output tokens, you can set the version that you want, the temperature, and the subsequence, and a whole lot. So yeah, you can do all that in the configure. And the last thing is to tell this function that it should return text. So because output is a string, you probably want to use a text because text is basically a string. Now, yeah, now we look at another option where the response is not a string. So after doing this, you now have access to the generated content of Gemini. Remember, because you set the output as a string, no matter what, this output will return as a string. Now, moving down, this is the same as the previous one, so let's skip this. And I'll move to this. Now, this is a little complex. So I have that information as a function, and the next that information. The input I accept is a string, so I'm still accepting the base64 image, but the output is now schema. You can call it an interface in a class or an abstract class or anything. Now, when I click on this is what we have here. So now we have an object. Okay, we have an object of different types. So we have an object, we have a title, description, specifications, and pricing. So the pricing is a number, the rest are all strings. So now this is like a more custom output from at a glance. And if you look at this output, it looks like a JSON output, right? So this is what I want in this regard. So again, I follow the same step as the previous. I set the schema, but over here I add one extra thing. I tell the LLM how to output each response. So I'm telling I should output each response. The schema is this same schema that I put, right? So in that regard, now Gemini knows exactly how to output my response. So now, in any case I have to switch from Gemini to let's say open or another model something, right? I don't have to basically rewrite this integration. All I have to do is change the model that I'm calling. Then that is it. I'm done in my code. Because no matter what's the model I'm using, you will return its outputs in this format. So in this format. So basically that is the outputs. And this is more for more complex use case. And now when we are returning our data, we don't have to return it as a text because remember the data you are returning is not a text, it is more of an object. So we instead of calling text, we call outputs. So output gives us the data in whatever schema form that we stated. Then the last thing is just call start server, and we are good to go. So let's see how the application works. Alright, so to run an app, type in Genkit start. So this goes application, and then you can see now there's an extra folder here that contains the JS version of the attachment. So this is our UI that we can use to interact with the model. Now, so now we have this. So to explain this interface a little, on the left hand side, this is where you have access to all your flow. So remember in your code, we define flow, right? So you said define flow. So these are all flows, and one of the flows is like this. So if you want to use any of them, just look on it, tap on it, and then let's. And these are prompts that you see, they all appear here. And these are the models that are available to you. As you can see, you can switch in between them for testing purpose. And these are other bunch of tools that you. So there's something about using Jenkins also is if in any case that I don't want Jenkins to actually go outside and looking for information, right? Maybe I have my own database sample that contains some data that I want the Gemini to be acting on it instead of uh, the data that is somewhere else. I can actually connect it. So you can usually use Firebase with Jenkins. So easily connect your Firestore database to Jenkins. And if you also have a table of students and you want to basically be able to get information on your students, maybe you want to know the number of people that are performing well, the number of people that are below age 20 and all this, like basic, like you just want to have information based on the data that you have in the database. So if it's for e-commerce, you want to know information based on all that, you can easily just use that service, right? Like so, you can easily connect your knowledge base to Jenkins, and Jenkins to make use of that knowledge base. So now moving forward, let us test what we have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get an image with the 64. So I'm going to get this image, the 64, and I'm going to use this to copy the code. I just have to upload it to give you the 64 just for testing purpose. Then I'll come back here. I'll paste the 64 and I'll click on it. So let's see if China is able to give us a title. So I said to say this is a Google Pixel. So this is a Google Pixel 9. The image says then let us try and see if we can get the description of it. So yeah, so this is a whole description that it's generated based on the image that it saw, right? And let us see that there's specifications. So it's able to also generate the specifications for us. We have an array for it. Now let me try and get the information. So information is like everything combined. So the title, the description, the specifications, also the pricing. So it's able to get this for us. So now in our code for the pricing, I think to try and get the pricing in Java shillings. So yeah, I mean, this is like an approximate of what it came up with this can be correct or wrong. Again, so whoever is in charge will have to can be confirm or edit it and enter the right information. Right, so basically this is what we have. You can easily deploy this application, and I'll show you how to deploy the Genkit application in some few minutes. So I'm going to use render. I have a bunch of applications from render. So to deploy application is pretty simple. Right? First of all, there's one thing you need to do before you start your deployment. So you come to your project, you go to your package.info, and then you add in this script. This is a TypeScript project. We want to basically make sure we install all our dependency and also the one build before we deploy, because the deployment is looking at this file, which is inside this lib file. So when you add this particular script, then we're good to go. So just come here, click on new, click on web service. This gives you about 3 or 4 free deployments. The only thing is, after some time, it sort of it puts the API to sleep. And I think after an hour, if it is not being used. So probably we can have this GitHub quickly form. Yeah, this is it. So copy this, come here, paste it. So if you want to use a public URL, you can easily use your own URL, connect it to your own GitHub, Bitbucket, or whatever. Right? So you're going to connect it. What is doing is basically cloning your repo. So it's now cloning your repo. So this is basically the name of the project. You don't have to worry about all this. What you need to worry about is, so when we are using npm, so you can also use npm install. This is the command that's command, and we're going to change this. I'm sticking to free. Yeah, so for the build command, you can actually say npm. Remember the script we created over here. Basically, you can send this. So you want it to run the install and also run this build command. So yeah, if you do that here, then the next thing is to add your environment variable. So if you look at the code in the TS file, it states what the name that you should be using. Copy this name, come here, put it there, then add your key, your Jekyll key, right? So I'm just going to add something for now. This is not my real key, something. But this is how you do it. And after that, all you need to do is just click on deploy service, and then you are good to go. So it will take some time for you to deploy. And after it is done, so after see it is building, it's running our script command. When it is done, it will be starting. So this is your base URL. So this is what you'll be using, right? So you use something like this, and then now in your Flutter application, which I'll take you to very soon, so this is your base URL. This is the path to so these are the path to your front functions in the scene. So in this case, it is shorter from slash product information. Like, so this becomes the path, and this is your base URL. So as you see, it is now building, now it is deploying. Now let us head over to the Flutter side. Now on the Flutter side, this is what we have. So we have basic Flutter application. There are a bunch of files here. This is very simple. So we're using Firebase as a backend as a service. So we have a login, we have a create account, which is create account here. Then we have some other files. So let's just log in. I have an account, so let me log in. And then see. Right. So this is how our application looks like. So there's a bunch of products I've already added. We are all in here. There's also an alt course tab. So if you want to publish a product, you want to just keep it in there for the main type, you can add it here. This button basically asks you where you want to get your image from. Right? So yeah, this is a very simple application. When you click on any of those, it shows you the product information, and you can now you can increase the icon, and then you can browse and add it to cart. Yeah, browser. So basically, it's nothing fancy, just showing you the concept. So going back to where we're actually using our API, right? So when you go to add icon, add a form. So the first thing is to select an image. So I'll select the pixel image. Then have this form. So this form basically has some text field. So if you don't want to use the LLM, you can just go ahead and input everything, and then you proceed. Otherwise, if you want to use the LLM, now going down and explaining how to do the integration. So first of all, I'm actually uploading the image. This is to Firebase storage. Now to generate the content itself, I get an image, convert it into byte, right? Then I use lookup main type. So I'm just going to get the type of the file. It can be image slash PNG slash JPEG, image slash JPG, right? I mean, there are multiple image extensions. So I'm trying to get the right extension. Then over here, I'm converting the bytes into the 64 encoder. Then now my body, I'm passing in the field called data. Remember, this is multimodal and we are dealing with. So if you want to pass in a media file, you use the keyword data. So I'm passing in data, some data. I'm saying, and this is the so this is the main type. This is the this is the basis before image, and this is the string that I have actually encoded. So yeah, this is basically how you do the various so this is basically how you pass in the data as a basis before image. Then the next one is I'm constructing endpoint. So the schema is HTTPS. This is the host. So the host is basically the base URL that you get from the deployment over here, right? Then the path is again the path of the function name that you stated, which is over here. So now we have our platform. I'm just making a post request sending the coded data, and then I wait for a response. Getting a response, I try to decode that response and assign that response to the various text fields. And yeah, basically that is it. Again, nothing fancy. So yeah, if there's an error, I show a slide message that there's an error. And yeah, that is it. So when I click on this generate, this thing should happen. Let's look at the logs and see. So sometimes because render, sometimes it will shut down your API after some time, right? Sometimes when it's in request, it may take some time before you actually get a response because again, probably the API is down. So the first request you hit is what wakes the API up, and then the next request basically comes through. So yeah. So, I'm going to do that. Yes, I'm not able to get the time. Said the payload is too large. So it's computing of the image. Yeah, it's computing the image. So let me see if I can get more. I'm hoping it doesn't complain that this one is also large. So I need to learn. So try it again. Yeah, still complain that it's too large. Well, maybe I have to find a way and see if I can compress it. Finally. Yeah, let me previous one and see if I can compress it. Okay, so so now these two in here. Alright, so let's see if this is now okay. Otherwise, I think we can just move on. So this restriction is basically not, it's not actually coming from so okay, it's not coming from the AI model, it's coming from Render itself. Because Render doesn't want to, I mean, because it's using a free service, it doesn't want to give us a lot of bandwidth to basically process and send a lot of like very big files. So um, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So many mistakes. So we should have solved it. Get result here. So yeah, at least now we know it works. So we will click on this again. So now we have so the title, the description, the specification is here. Now the pricing, I'm not sure this is pricing is also here. Right. The currency is selected, the number of stocks that we have is here. So now since we have this information, we can just click on save, and then we should save it to our database. So you can see now it's started here. So that switch, and now click to view the information. So yeah, basically this is it. And this is how to this is how to create an application using Genkit and get product description from an image, upload it to your Firebase, Firebase database, display it, and have users interact with it. So this is basically again, it's a very small feature in a huge application. So you can decide to modify this, add more, and all that, right? If there are any questions, you can just leave them in the comments, and I will try my best to answer them. You can reach out to me on any of my social media platforms, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Yeah.